President,
Senator from Iowa is recognized.
I asked to speak in morning business for 10 minutes.
Without objection, it is so ordered.
Mr. President, I rise on the issue of jobs and 10% unemployment, and to tell my fellow senators what we can do to preserve maybe 23,000 jobs yet in an industry that by the end of the month will be otherwise shut down because Congress is not taking action. And the main point of my remarks are the issue of if we don't extend the biodiesel tax credit by the end of the month, these jobs will be lost. In fact,
excuse me, Senator, do you mind if I make a unanimous consent request? I'm sorry to interrupt you. I didn't have this when I finished speaking. I have 10 unanimous consent requests for committees to meet during today's session of the Senate. They have the approval of the majority and minority leaders. I ask consent these requests be agreed to and be printed in the record.
Yeah.
Without objection, it is so ordered.
Yeah. Mr. President, my point was that 23,000 jobs will be lost, and in fact, right now, on December the 17th, companies are taking plans to shut down these operations by the end of the year. So everybody knows that our unemployment rate is 10%. Everybody knows that the President has spent a great deal of time over the last 2 or 3 weeks talking about creating jobs and getting us out of the recession. But we have to remember that for those without work, this is not just a recession, it's a depression. We all agree that we should take whatever actions necessary to jumpstart our economy and get people back to work. President Obama, Vice President Biden have been talking for months about the need to create green jobs. Well, green jobs, purple jobs, whatever kind of jobs, jobs are jobs. And I don't object to the creation of green jobs. In fact, what I'm talking about is some of these green jobs. President Obama recently has held 3 public events in recent days to highlight his concern about the economy and the need to create jobs. Yesterday, the administration apparently announced billions more in tax credits for renewable energy and energy conservation efforts. I'll bet when I look at that list, I'm going to support most of those because I believe a national energy policy involves capturing whatever we can of petroleum and fossil fuels we have available for a short period of time because we're never going to get rid of them in the short term. We need conservation and we need renewable and alternative energy. Those 3 things make a comprehensive energy program. So obviously, if I'm for that comprehensive energy program, I'm for renewable energy and alternative energy. It seems like nearly everyone, in fact, in the administration is touting the benefits of green jobs and clean energy economy, and I'm doing that right now myself. It's astonishing, though, with all of this talk about green jobs and clean energy, that this Congress right now seems to be heading for the holidays, while thousands of green energy workers will receive pink slips and furloughs. On December 31st of this year, the current biodiesel tax credit will expire. The biodiesel tax credit provides a $1 per gallon credit for biodiesel made from soybean oil and yellow grease and animal fats. The tax credit is essential in maintaining the competitiveness of this clean-burning, domestically produced green fuel and the jobs that are connected with it. The tax credit exists for a common sense reason, something we've been using for a long period of time to offset the higher cost of producing biodiesel, or I could just as well insert the word ethanol in there, compared to petroleum diesel. Without the tax credit, petroleum marketers will be unwilling to purchase the more expensive biodiesel and demand will vanish. And from this standpoint of tax credit, I hope everybody remembers whether it's wind or whether it's energy, ethanol, or whether it's solar, or whether it's biodiesel or biomass, geothermal, that it takes tax credits to get these programs off the ground. Right now, wind energy is a big industry in my state, not only from the production standpoint, but from the standpoint of manufacturing of components. Because in 1992, I got a wind energy tax credit passed. Otherwise, we would not have a wind energy, and everybody touts wind energy today. Well, it's a little bit like the very infant biodiesel industry we have. You know, you might not think biofuels are an infant industry because ethanol has been around for 30 years, but biodiesel is about where ethanol was 30 years ago. And so we want to help move this industry along. So eventually it can stand on its own legs. Like, that's the motive behind all these tax credits, to get an infant industry started, and then they stand on their own. In 2008, getting back to the jobs in this industry, biodiesel had supported 51,000 green jobs. Because of the downturn in the economy and the credit crisis, the biodiesel industry has already shed 29,000 green jobs. So now, what about the rest of those jobs? That's what my remarks are all about, and that's what getting the tax credit renewed at the end, before the end of the year, is all about. Because the industry is currently operating at just around 15% of capacity. Without an extension of the tax credit, all U.S. biodiesel production will grind to a halt. Plants will be shuttered, and workers will be let go. No one should be surprised then by the upcoming expiration of this tax credit. It was extended most recently in October 2008. So we've known for 14 months, hence nobody should be surprised that it would need to be extended by the end of this year. The Senate has been in session nearly continuously for months. Earlier this year, Senator Cantwell and I introduced a bill to extend the tax credit for 5 years and change it to a production tax credit. There's no excuse for inaction on this credit. The Democratic leadership is content to leave here without doing the necessary work on extenders, believing that they can extend the tax provisions retroactively sometime early next year. Retroactivity does work a lot of times on tax extenders that are not extended at the end of the year and extended and made retroactive. But retroactivity, in the case of the biodiesel market, doesn't help bring it from the grinding to a halt on January the 1st, 2010, because without the incentive, the biodiesel will cost much more than petroleum diesel. While the House and Senate dither, thousands will lose their jobs. Demand for dirty, imported petroleum diesel, however, will continue. Investments in domestic renewable fuels industry will lose value and possibly disappear. Quite to the contrary, what I just said earlier in my remarks of yesterday, the President announcing various tax credits. So this one's been on the books. All it has to do is be reauthorized. So it's too bad, among all the talk of green jobs and the clean energy economy, that Congress is unable to pass a simple extension of an existing tax credit. Once again, the actions of the majority do not match their words. For all the talk, they will have failed all those in the biodiesel industry working today to reduce our dependence upon foreign oil if we leave here without extending this critical tax credit before the end of the year. I yield the floor.